All right, crew, a little bit different environment today, but hey, I hope you are having the littest summertime. I'm having a pretty decent summer. It's a little bit bittersweet for me. Winter is obviously my favorite season, especially this year, starting the whole challenge of skiing every run at all the resorts in Utah has just been super awesome. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different, obviously. It was really cool to see the progress each resort and each video. But I think it would be awesome just to kind of look back and do a recap of everything for the season. If you've been following the challenge closely, you'll know that we've got 5 days worth of videos, a couple different resorts. But what you may not know is I went on this filming tear and just filmed 4 more videos on top of the most recent one that we did at Snowbasin. A lot easier to film them than it is to edit. And so that's why they are unreleased so far. So across those 4 videos, we spent 2 more days at Sundance, one of which was a pretty dope powder day, finally. And then the second day, I felt like I was at the freaking beach or something. The third day of those unreleased videos, we took a little jaunt over to Alta with my old man. It's my home mountain. It's Mecca for me, and it was super dope. And then the last of the 4, we took a nice little trip down to southern Utah and skied Brianhead for a day with a buddy of mine. I do apologize that we didn't get those out earlier in the season, but at this point I think what I'm gonna do is kind of release them in the fall as kind of like a hype building series for the new season, just to kind of get excited. But because those did happen in this season, I wanted to include those in the recap that we go over today, and it'll kind of just be like a little teaser for what we get to watch in the fall. So without further ado, let's just dive in. Okay, so just to recap, the challenge is to ski every official named trail across Utah's 15 resorts here. What's interesting is there's actually kind of a lot of variability in that with trail maps, and the number itself has changed with resort expansion and things like that over the course of the year. But the latest count that I have is 1,510 runs. This little sheet that I have here is kind of where the whole idea began. I just opened up a bunch of browser windows and counted all the trails and added them up here. Super dope. So the final number that we got for this season, both across the videos that were released and unreleased videos, is...
How many are there?
Sean!
Look, why don't you just tell it to me? I got a really good memory.
Tell me.
I can take it. I can take it.
What was it?
Tell me.
138 total trails. So in all, that translates to just over 9% of the total challenge completed this year, which is not bad, but I guess a part of me was maybe hoping that we would get a little bit farther than that this year. I actually had this idea back in January. That's when I added all the resorts up, and I was like, man, we could probably knock out most of the challenge this year, if not all of it. And man, well, I was sorely mistaken. That would have translated to just skiing every single day, hours a day, and I was just woefully ignorant of how much time it takes to produce the videos and edit them. And I could probably make them faster than I do, but I just like them. I think they look cool, and I'm happy with the end result. The trade-off there, I guess, is it takes a little bit longer to make. But on the other hand, if you take all those factors together, I had the idea in January, so I didn't really get passes or kind of mega passes to a lot of these resorts. I did have to figure out how to do the filming and the editing and all that kind of startup cost of making the videos and stuff. With that, I think this is totally something to be celebrated, man. We went to 5 different resorts. We did a huge range of terrain, actually, a lot of beginner stuff, a lot of advanced stuff. So yeah, like I said earlier, let's do the resort by resort breakdown. Super cool. I think they kind of can blend together from video to video, but I have this sheet here with each resort and the runs that are at the resorts that I've done so far and whether I've done them, and little notes of things that might be missing from the trail map, which is really interesting. One run on the map, it may be actually more on the website or vice versa, or it might not even exist on the trail map, but it exists on the website and vice versa. Let's just start it off with where it all began over at Sundance. I'll pull up the trail map here. Sundance was the closest resort to me geography wise. It takes the least amount of time for me to get there. I had a season pass already there at the start of the season, so it was the easiest resort to kind of get started with and get going on the challenge. I still don't have like an official certified list of runs for Sundance. They don't do what some resorts do, which is list out like all of the trails on the website one by one. So this is Brianhead, where they list out every single run, and I can write that down in the Excel and find it on the map and go do it. But I did have a ski patrolman from Sundance comment on one of the videos saying that the different gates and pipeline gullies, which I have done actually before this challenge, are the ones that are missing from my official count. They list 72 runs, and I can only find something in the 60s. But anyway, jumping over to the map, the purple, as you know from the videos, represents terrain that we have already done in those videos. And then the orange is the terrain that we did in the unreleased videos. So you get a little teaser.
I'm beating the snowmobile.
And so you can see we've done virtually all of Sundance, or most of it aside from a few runs, and then the ones that you don't see on the map that the ski patroller had mentioned in his comment. And this was just cool, man. It was great to start the challenge here. We started over on the Wildwood Lift area with a lot of beginner terrain, and then started making our way over into kind of the back mountain area here, and just tackled a lot of these in, I think, the second, maybe the third video. And the beasts of the Far East over here, all these black diamonds, double black diamonds, we did defeat all of them, and you'll see that in the fall, these last two beasts on the powder day, actually, which was super dope.
Oh my gosh, bro. Finally.
It was great to start the challenge here. I didn't know how I was gonna do it, right? So I just brought my camera and microphone up one day and just got on the lift, and I was like, I'm gonna try this out. And we went over to the Wildwood area. This is a great beginner area. Like, this is actually a newer lift at Sundance, and just really cool terrain. I feel like a lot of time beginner terrain is at like these intersections with more advanced stuff, and so the traffic is just huge. I've noticed that at most resorts that I've been to, and this was a great beginner area, just kind of all in its own, and a little haven for that. But notable highlights, I'd say, of Sundance this year, just the whole back mountain is just really fun. It's a good time. Not too crazy or gnarly, even over into the beasts of the Far East. I mean, it's advanced terrain, but this was just a cool challenge of like a theme within a resort. So I really, really liked doing all of these runs over here, some of which I hadn't actually ever done before. These ones over on Flathead, we skied on kind of like the beach day, which was super dope. Just really good vibe. And then we actually knocked out a bunch of the front mountain, kind of just like at the end of certain days on our way back to the car, or, you know, the Outlaw Lift or something like that. A part of me is a little bit disappointed that like we're so far along with the resort, because then it just means we won't go back as often as we did the first season. But this was a awesome way to start the challenge. And a great resort. I really like it. Not as big as the other resorts in Utah, but Sundance, we've got 59 of the trails technically crossed off of the 72, which is about 82%. That was Sundance, and that was a great time. So thanks, Sundance, for a great experience. And I hope you all enjoyed the tour. Okay, let's jump over to the second resort that we hit up this year, Nordic Valley, which I had actually never been to before. And I was pleasantly surprised. This was my one day at Nordic Valley, and we knocked out a bunch of trails here. I got a few day passes as part of my Sundance season pass here, which made that convenient. And it was within a 2-hour radius, so that was a huge win. So Nordic Valley lists 42 runs on their website. They're one of the great ones where they list every individual run on the site, which is so helpful. And as you can see here, great first day knocking that out. We tackled 22 of the 42 trails, so 52% of Nordic Valley was done in that one day. And their trail map was pretty good. There was a few discrepancies with the site and things like that, which I was surprised to see at first, but double surprised to see that I'm noticing that across like almost every resort that I've been to so far. But yeah, as I said, this was a great experience, man. There's a good variety of terrain on this back Nordic Express side of the hill. The beginner areas like Crockett and Bridger and even some of Apollo was great. There was a lot more people there than I actually expected, and I think it's just a cool local hill. The pricing is amazing. I got a free pass there with my season pass to another resort, But even if I didn't, it wasn't going to be a big deal to buy a day pass there, because if you get it more than like a week in advance, it's like $20 for a day pass, or $25, something like that. So a smaller resort, a really cool vibe. I think they don't get as much snow as some of their neighbors like Snowbasin and things like that, but I think it's pretty comparable. I'm excited to go back, really. I mean, this year was less snow than a typical year. And yeah, on this Nordic Express, there was some really fun terrain where my legs were just on fire by the end, kind of thing. So pretty nice long runs and a good mix. So yeah, definitely a stamp of approval. And I got like an amazing view shooting the outro that day. And so that was just a cool vibe and a wonderful day at Nordic Valley. And I must say, probably one of my favorite events of the whole series was we were going down Great Odin's Raven with very little snow and just getting yelled at from the lift by a little girl. "You're crazy!"
A little bit more snow.
So definitely one of my favorite points of the challenge so far. All right, with that, let's jump over to the last resort that we released a video from on this challenge, which was Snowbasin. Looking at the map, a little bit overwhelming compared to the last two. This one was a little bit harder for me to navigate because it was just such a lot bigger resort, really. And Snowbasin lists 115 runs as open on their website, but if you look on like the directory of their website, they actually have like a lot more individual things listed. So their 115 runs do not count terrain parks or these like gate entries. So it's just kind of interesting on how stuff like a gate entry might count on one resort, like perhaps Sundance, but not on another one, which is kind of like a whole new element of the challenge. It's not just going to the resort, skiing the run. It's kind of, I don't know, dude, like navigating it and figuring out which ones count and which ones don't, which is interesting. But this was a really cool day. This was like the first day of like a comp pass from a viewer, a friend of mine, which was amazing, dude. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this challenge buying day passes with the prices that they're at anymore. It's ridiculous. So this was like gratitude 9,000 to be up here on that day, and the snow was left a little bit to be desired. Oh my word. It had snowed, and then like some people had skied it, but it didn't get like super tracked out, and then it got really warm and then refroze. So it's kind of this like super variable top sheet of like refrozen snow, dude. And like my hamstrings were dying by the end just because every single little like bump would just shake you to your freaking core, man. Ouch. That feels like a Theragun just slamming my hamstring. And like your bones just felt the whole thing. So not really illustrative, I think, of what Snowbasin can be. It was allegedly voted across different outlets and stuff to be the best ski resort in North America. So the day we went, conditions were a little bit variable, sunny, nice, warm. Terrain was really cool and made me want to go again. Another thing that's kind of interesting about Snowbasin is their runs are super long. So at the other two resorts, what would have been maybe like one run, maybe two, is definitely just one super long run. Like Main Street is very long. Elk Ridge is super long from what I remember. So when all is said and done at Snowbasin, I think we did about 18 runs, which is about 16% of the total there. And it'll be great to keep going and knocking out the rest. And so this one will be great to tackle. It's going to take a lot of work, just like Park City and some of the other big ones, but way awesome. I would recommend it, and they have really fancy bathrooms there. Okay, and the last two resorts from the unreleased videos are Alta and Brianhead, so let's jump over to Alta. This is like looking through the back window into like your backyard or something for me. Like I love this place. There are people who I'm sure know it infinitely better than I do still, but Alta boasts 118 runs total on their website. And in the morning that I went up with my old man, just a father-son day, we got 12 in that morning. So we knocked out about 10% of Alta. The interesting thing for me that I didn't expect skiing Alta was the trail names. When you just ski there all the time growing up, you kind of just make up your own names for the trail runs. So it was kind of hard for me to like abide by the normal names because some of them I just never even pay attention to the name on the sign. So that was kind of a unforeseen little challenge right there. We did ski it later in the season. It was warm but snowing, so it was almost like this little like top layer of snow and then just like this sheet of ice underneath.
Go. Whoa. Whoa.
So with that, we kept on some of the more chill terrain, and we were kind of just hanging out with my dad, and I didn't want to make a big diva moment out of it, trying to knock out a bunch of different runs and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to come back to Alta on better ski days or earlier in the season, as long as I can get up Little Cottonwood Canyon, which honestly feels like a roll of the dice every single time.
It's just an absolute traffic mess out here.
All right, let's finish things off with the last resort that we were able to go to this year, which is Brianhead down in southern Utah. All right, I got the trail map here. As you can see, dude, Brianhead was a freaking vibe. A friend of mine and I drove down there one day, and we're just like, let's just ski bell to bell as long as we can, really. And they have this Navajo Peak side of the resort, which is a lot more beginner terrain oriented, and we just wanted to go explore the Brianhead Peak, which I had actually never done before. I skied one run on Pioneer with family years ago, and it was raining, and then we all went home. So that was my experience with Brianhead before this day, and this day was so dope. I mean, it was later in the year. Brianhead didn't get a ton of snow this year, so they were, I think, below their normal snowpack.
Last chance to check out the wave. Whoa, watch the rocks. Oh my gosh.
I thought that was gonna be okay.
But that doesn't matter when you're just vibing with a homie and just exploring the mountain anew. So yeah, Brianhead claims 72 runs, and they have them all listed on their site. It's so beautiful. It's like, angels and music started playing when I counted them all there. And on our debut, we tackled 27 of the trails, so about 38% of the total resort in that one day. We did end up doing, as you can see, a lot of the more advanced terrain over here at Brianhead, so we'll kind of try and find some ways to be silly and fun over on the beginner side of Brianhead, but this was great. I love the resort. The runs are a little bit shorter in length. You don't get tons of vert, but Brianhead was just like a cool vibe because it's just, you go there with a friend or family or something like that, and you're gonna have like a really good time. And the other thing that was really weird was I had just done Sundance like earlier in the week in like a Hawaiian shirt, and it was like a beach day, and then at Brianhead I was cold, man. It was snowing, it was really cold, to where over the course of the day there started to get a layer of snow on top, and which was really nice because the bottom was a little bit icy. Towards the end, these were some of the better pow turns that I got this year, which I didn't get a lot of, but this is awesome. The map was pretty good. Some little weird elements here and there, like this giant steps run is like kind of one, maybe two on the map, but on the website it's like split into 3 different ones, so a little bit of triangulation and trigonometry between the map and the website list, but it was all good. So yeah, Brianhead was a super good vibe, and then started to thunder and lightning, and they closed the resort. But it was at the end of the day anyway, so we were kind of tired, and we needed to make our 3 or 4 hour drive home anyway, so an awesome first day at Brianhead. So that's it, man. If you're watching to this point, you are like a new breed of superhero. I kind of made this video for more of the people who've been following the challenge a little bit more closer anyway. Not as many folks searching for this type of stuff this time of year, but I just super appreciate you. This challenge is so cool, man. I love it. It's kind of becoming like a legacy thing for me. I want to have done this and be able to pass that down, that I did it, and kind of inspire people. And so yeah, it's just a huge project for me. I spent the better part of last year unemployed, and this was a huge anchor for me to go up there and just be motivated, man, and be creatively driven and try something new and put myself out there, which was awesome. I know we didn't crank out as many videos as we would have liked to, obviously, but I'm happy with the ones that we did, and I think you enjoyed them, and I hope you did. And please let me know what you did like and some feedback going into the next season, because I always want to make them better. So what next? What do we do in the summertime? Well, If you've explored the channel, I've done a couple other golf videos in like a simulator.
Oh my gosh, get in there.
That looks so good. Go farther. No! Oh my gosh.
I might have another project that's really cool coming up here that I think is pretty interesting and that you'll enjoy. As I mentioned before, all of these unreleased videos from these other resorts, I'll release those in the fall time as kind of like a cool hype building, get ready for the next season. So yeah, thanks so much again. Appreciate your support. Pray for snow, and we'll see you in the next one.